Joining us this morning, County Commissioner Dan Claypool. Danny, how you doing?
Great this morning. Snow's going away, the weather's getting a little better.
You didn't have a blizzard to go through this
I didn't.
morning.
I had road construction, so that means spring is here.
Spring is here.
So that's a good thing.
I did read this earlier. I got this from ODOT this past week. They are asking people to be very careful speaking of road construction because it can be unsafe where work sites are, and they're asking you to slow down, stay alert, and know before you go. And the place to go to find out where construction is going on is Ohio. It's ohgo.com, and they'll tell you where the construction work's going on. But it is picking up.
I would like to add to that, if I may, is we have other road construction workers out there also in the county and in the township and in the cities. You know, potholes are prevalent, so they're out fixing those. So I would ask everybody to slow down and you know, take their lives into consideration when you're going by them.
I guess there's a lot of activity on Friday out on our Amboy Bridge, where they are prepping for the work to start out there. I believe April 6th. It's on Monday, and they were doing prep work last Friday. A lot of action was happening out there. I think we got some videos of that, so we're looking forward to getting that accomplished, because I went across that bridge over the weekend, and man, it needs a lot of work. It needs to be replaced.
It does, and it's going to be tough. We work with ODOT, we work with the construction people, and it's going to be tough for the period that it's closed, but it's going to be well worth it, really and truly. That bridge has not been replaced in decades.
Right.
So it really is in need of replacement. So I think everybody, once it gets done, will appreciate the work that ODOT's doing there.
And I think it's been at least 10 to 15, maybe 20 years where they have been talking about this. They just couldn't get it on their schedule. And finally, it's going to happen. There are some people that are concerned, as Dan mentioned, that it's going to be tough because of detours, but I think once we get acclimated to it, we'll be good. Have a brand new bridge out there eventually. Dan, you had a major drug bust in Ashtabula County on last week and early Friday morning, which we're going to run a video of a little bit later after your segment. I know you've had concerns about all this stuff going on out there in the streets. It looks like we're starting to make some pretty good headway in curbing this problem.
Well, I don't know about pretty good, but we are making headway. And you know, I can't say enough about our law enforcement officers, our prosecutor's office, Nick Irochi, in being aggressive in seeking out and arresting these drug dealers. You know, and I guess the thing that really caught my eye, and that really is, a lot of these people from Cleveland. They come out here, they don't live here, and they just come out here and contaminate our neighborhoods and feed this terrible habit.
Yeah. I'm still simply amazed that heroin's the word that is used a lot now, and I think we've discussed it in the past that in we were kids, heroin was the major drug that you got in the ghettos, and with needles and all that sort of stuff. But now they say it's a rather cheap narcotic, and it's very prevalent out there.
It is. In my 20 years in law enforcement, honestly, gosh, I never saw heroin.
Really?
I never saw it. You always heard about it.
Right.
And, you know, it was always somewhere else. But I never even had the opportunity to see it. And they tell me today that it's as prevalent as any drug that was out there. And that's the drug of choice today. And it's really sad, because it is so addictive, and it's just ruining our young people.
Yeah.
Just ruining them.
I was surprised that there was no meth in that list. It was oxycodone and I think it was cocaine. There was 3 of them. And I was kind of amazed that meth, which has been a problem here because of the rural areas, that some people have been making that stuff, and the portable labs that they can do now. But the dealers are put on notice that the county prosecutor's office is going to proceed with this, and they're not giving up. They're not stopping.
No, again, like I said, the task force that's together in the county, the local law enforcement officers, the prosecutor's office, again, they're working really, really hard to try and get their arms around this problem, and I wish him the best. I really do. If we have one single problem that's driving everything in a negative sort, it is drugs.
Dan, I was going to ask you too. What's your thoughts about this campaign to legalize marijuana in the state of Ohio?
I personally, probably because of my law enforcement background, I just don't see a good thing coming out of it. You know, I can see if it helps somebody medically, I can understand that. But to legalize it is just one more thing that we're going to put into our body to change us, to make ourselves happy. And I just think there are so many other ways to make yourself happy, and other than that.
Yeah, I talked to John Patterson about this as well, and he goes, from what he can see in Columbus, you know, unless they get the 400,000 plus signatures and they are mandated to put it on the ballots for a vote, he says, I don't see anybody in Columbus wanting to let this thing go on. It's not something that you're taking very lightly.
It's not positive. You know, we want to do positive things for our state, positive things for our county, positive things for our local community. I don't see anything positive. Even the people, there are only a small group of people that are pushing this, and it's because of the money that they can make in it. And whenever there's money in this like this, it's no different than the heroin, it's no different than anything else. You know, you take it from a good purpose and you drive it down into something that's illegal, and it's just bad.
Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of popped out of nowhere to me because I just happened to pick up the Plain Dealer one day and it's talking about this, and I go, what? I didn't even realize that was out there. I wanted to ask you also, Dan, too, about this septic tank situation out there that could affect our construction in Ashtabula County. And I had somebody on, it might have been John, that said they're trying to, I guess, kind of curtail it a little bit so people aren't hit so heavily with. It's going to be costly.
Very costly. It's something that our county has fought for years, and I mean, years before I was a township or a county commissioner, I was a township trustee. We fought that, and at least at that time, the laws were not passed. But then they changed it. The Ohio Department of Health changed it through rules, and these rules have been in effect. And then they put a moratorium on the rules, and now this year they've taken effect. Yeah, it's taken them a long time, but they got what they wanted in Columbus. And it's not a positive thing for our county, because even some of the systems that they are recommending, they don't work in our county. And I think we have an excellent health department, and I think that they take care of the public's health. And I really think that, again, this is one of those issues of the state knowing better than the local people. And again, this is a local issue, but to go get a soil scientist to do a soil qualification, we don't even have a soil scientist in our county. And they are weeks, if not months, behind because of this regulation right now. I believe the closest soil scientist to us is in Geauga County.
Is that right?
Yes.
I know. You know, you mentioned this moratorium. I remember that because I go back to when George Disto was a county commissioner and Debbie, and they were saying this was coming, and this had to be 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, it was. It was.
And then it kind of went away or was put on the back burner, and then again it took effect January 1 of this year. And I feel bad for a lot of these people that want to build, having to face that additional cost. Hi, you're on the air.
Yeah, I got another question. I know you guys are talking about drugs and everything else, but while you got a commissioner there, I want to know why the city of Conneaut, I mean, they have their rental inspections, which I think is a good thing. I'm a landlord, I have friends that are landlords, but they don't hold the tenants accountable for the damage that they do in these buildings. They come in there, they trash your place, they don't pay rent, then they call the building department, and the landlords are responsible for the damage that the tenants do.
That's not good.
Well, that's the way it works. Then, you know, you've got Deanna Gates there, which I don't know what her qualifications are, but then I found out that she got 2 of the CHIP grants, and those grants are not supposed to be used for rental property, and she's using those for rental property.
What do you mean rental properties?
The qualifications for the CHIP grant is you cannot use them for commercial or other than your main residence. And she used that on a house on Madison when she was on Harbor Street.
I'm not aware of that.
I don't know. I do sympathize with some of the landlords and some of the cases that they're faced with, because I've seen some of the homes that have been trashed, and you're right, the landlords are faced with replacement and repairs, and but it's not a, it's really not so much of a criminal offense as it is a civil offense, and then the landlord needs to take their tenants through court and to recover their damages, and it's just
Well,
I do sympathize with.
Most of the time they're uncollectible, and the thing is, if you discriminate against who you rent to as far as people that are on subsidies or whatever, then you're setting yourself up for something else.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have someone who's uncollectible, and then, the city just kind of throws up their hands and goes, oh, well, but it's to the point, like he said, some of these places are just, they're unbelievable when you go in there. Unbelievable.
No. You're right. You're right, and I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. It's something that as a county commissioner we don't really get involved in too much.
Right.
But I've seen cases where people have just ruined houses or things, and we have demolished a lot of homes that have been just destroyed by tenants or people living in them. It's sort of sad.
When the new city manager takes over in a week or so, that might be something you might want to address with him. Mm-hmm. And he.
Well, yeah, there's a few of us that are going to get together because it needs to be addressed. Because what happens is, in one of my cases, I had somebody that lived there for a very short time and did quite a bit of substantial thousands of dollars worth of damage, and then called the building department on me, and I was cited for the damage that tenant did when they weren't paying rent. So, I mean, it's, and when I told the building inspector that, she just kind of threw her hands up and goes, well, it sucks, but that's the way it is. Well, there's got to be a better answer to that, where people are held accountable for the damage they do. And that's, I know the county commissioner said, well, yeah, you can do it civilly, but most of these people anymore, when I first came to this town about 10 years ago, I went to people who work. Now that is rolled over to where almost none of them work now, and they're on subsidies, and you can't discriminate against that, but then they're uncollectible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we wish you luck.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
He did mention something I would like to talk about today, if I
Mm-hmm.
may, is today at the Ashtabula Town Square Mall, there's a job fair put on by the Ohio Job Center.
Okay.
And I would recommend that anybody looking for a job go there. There are going to be a number of employers there that are ready to hire. I would suggest people go there with their resumes, be ready to be interviewed, dress like you're looking for a job, and that you're ready to go to work. And there is jobs there in several healthcare. There's roofers, there's pavers, there's landscapers, there's manufacturing. There's a whole different group of people that are going to be there that are ready to hire. So I'd love to get that commercial out there that if people are looking for a job,
Sure.
today, this afternoon, 2 o'clock, go to the Ashtabula Town Square Mall.
Is that what time it starts?
Yes. And
Let's take this call here.
Okay. Sure.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, Dad. Mr. Claypool, I know the man just called about rental properties and people not working. And I know you were with the Sheriff's Department before. And we have a terrific drug problem here. And I saw in the paper where they arrested some of the lower people that are using the drugs and perhaps selling on a lower basis. But I'm wondering, as someone who's worked for the Sheriff's Department, why can't they ever catch people that are higher up bringing in all the drugs, and why isn't perhaps the prosecutor trying to get this information from the people who are using this at a lower level so that we can clean up our county so that we don't have so many people out of work and are on welfare and are using drugs and things of this nature. I'm wondering why they don't address the problem at a higher level. And
well, I would just answer that with this, and I commented on that. One of the things that I really noticed out of this was a number of people out of Cleveland, and those are some of your upper dealers. And
let's be realistic here.
Pardon?
These people are. Let's be realistic here. These people are not all coming out of Cleveland. They're not all coming to the cities. We have people here who are supplying. Yes, you can say they're coming from Cleveland, but I don't believe that, and I don't think the majority of the community believes that.
Well, they were arrested out of Cleveland. That's their home address, and you know, that's just and there was 26 people that were arrested. Now there were a lot of local people that were arrested. I can tell you this just from my experience. There are a couple things that really make the drug traffic difficult. Number one, it's like a pyramid. As you go up the ladder, you are shielded, and you're not dealing on the street, and that's who our people deal with, is on the street. Number two, it takes thousands, and I don't think people understand how much money is in this drug trade, and our task force just doesn't have the thousands to go out and make these test buys and just throw that money away. I have seen, in my lifetime, I saw a 16-year-old with $100,000 cash in a briefcase where he was doing a drug buy and he was arrested. Mm-hmm. And that money just goes away. I mean, the county takes that money, and the federal government, whoever takes that money, and that's just the cost of doing business. The county or the state, we don't have that type of money to go out and make these test buys and just throw it away. So it's difficult. Those are really difficult cases. This is a close-knit group of people. It's not like that you can just go in and you can just point somebody out on who's dealing and who's not. You know, this is usually done inside a house.
But I'm also understanding that they never bust anybody high or above.
Well, I just give them a tremendous amount of success when they went in and they arrested these people out of Cleveland. These people are coming from Cleveland, supplying Ashtabula County with these drugs. So they are suppliers. They are larger suppliers. Now, are you going to get into those people that are supplying the Cleveland people or the Youngstown people or the Erie people? Probably not so much, but that's what the federal government does, because they have the funds and they have the staff and they have the resources to be able to do that. It's just an overwhelming problem. It's not something that's just in Ashtabula County. This is a national problem.
But it's grown so much here.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's grown so much from nothing to what it is now.
Absolutely, and I say that all the time, that when I was a law enforcement officer just not too many years ago, we never had the problems that our law enforcement officers are dealing with today. It is a completely different job than what I worked. And I sympathize with the law enforcement officers that we have today, because they work hard. But it's a lot more difficult today than what it was when I was doing it. And
I believe that.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's just terrible. And they're so scrutinized in everything they do. So it's just different today than what it was when I was doing it. So I can't even compare.
Well,
I said, I didn't even see heroin when I was there.
I don't know about Ashtabula or other places, but I think the police should be spending more time with drugs than they should be getting couches off the porches and other things such as that. They need to be doing the job that they're trained for and that they want to do.
Well,
I think that a lot of their time is wasted here.
I don't disagree with that. We, as a commissioners, we have a task force. We added last year. We added another task force agent there. So we've increased the agents there. We have increased resources to them. Trumbull County has done the same. But again, it's all a matter of resources. And it's just a huge problem out there right now. I agree with you there. I wish I had the answer. I would be going around the nation right now with that answer, because everybody's looking for the answer to this. I mean, these people today, you know, you just turn on the news and see how many people are killed every single day because of drugs. I mean, this is a huge, different sort of business today that you ever saw. They would rather shoot you than try and resolve a problem. This is how these people deal with their problems. So it's huge.
Well, thank you for talking about it.
Oh,
All right,
sure.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Budget time.
Budget time. It's all done.
Is it done?
It's all done. We passed our budget the beginning of, or the end of February, beginning of March, but we worked on that, and this was good for us this year. This is one of the first years since I've been a commissioner that we have recovered from that meltdown, the national meltdown, and we were in pretty good shape.
Okay.
We were able to fulfill most of the requests of all the elected officials. We were able to add deputies. We were able to
I did see
give
that.
more support to the sheriff this year. We were really happy about that. So we were able to help the prosecutor. So we felt really good about our 2015 budget.
Good, good. Is that from the, of course, over the last few years you've had to make some cuts, backs, and that sort of stuff. Is that kind of brought you out of that situation?
We think so. We think that there's a light here now at the end of the tunnel, and that we've reshaped county government to the size that we can afford.
Okay.
And so it wasn't so tight this year. But one of the interesting statistics, and we always talk about crime, and we went back and we showed the elected officials this. Since 2011, our general fund has grown about $2 million. And we always talk about priorities of where money goes, and just about total of that $2 million has gone into increasing the support for the criminal justice system, whether that be the sheriff or the prosecutor or the courts or those people included. So all the growth in our general fund has basically went towards supporting that, because there's such a larger demand on that system.
Right, right. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, we're able to support that criminal justice system, and it's bad because the demand is increasing at such an alarming rate, and as all the callers would recognize, we recognize that too, but as far as priorities go, that's what the commissioner's priorities are, is supporting that criminal justice system. And we have a project going on now that we think is going to just move our law enforcement and our safety forces together, probably light years ahead of where they're at now, as we're installing, as we speak, a county-wide computer-aided dispatch system.
Yeah, I read about that too.
Yeah, and then what this will do when a 911 call comes in, it will now allow all the law enforcement officers in the county to see that. So if Conneaut gets a particular call, the sheriff will be able to see that. Ashtabula police will see that. Not that they will respond to it, but they'll know that it's going on, and if it's a serious call where they need outside help, or if it's something of where there's a suspect and they're moving, they'll be able to communicate back and forth right within the patrol cars to be able to do that.
Now, can you explain how this works? I mean, say I call in and there's a bad accident. I call in, it would go directly into this automated...
It's going to go, we're going from 6 centers of where those calls are distributed now to 1 center. So we're going to, every 911 call will originate in Jefferson now.
Okay.
And then that will be sent out, depending on how the cities want to do this. If they want to dispatch their own, this call will be sent back to the city. But if not, and they choose to use this centralized communication center, then that call will go directly to that patrol car. But every patrol car in that particular area will be able to see it. And it will be on a county roster, so everybody will be able to see and basically know what's going on in the county. So if there's a bank robbery in Conneaut,
right,
everybody will know that.
Okay.
And everybody will be able to see that. They'll be able to do, they'll have photographs within their reach, right in the patrol car. When that call's sent to them, a map will be sent along with a photograph of that, all right within the patrol car.
How much is that going to cost?
We have about a $500,000 cost of it right now, but one thing that is really nice about this is we have an Ashtabula County company that actually has developed this, has been used throughout the nation, that we're going to use.
Really?
Yes. It's called ID Networks. It's in Ashtabula Township. It's a huge company, really, right out of our own county.
Will each community that wants to utilize this have to pay into that?
What we're doing right now is the county is furnishing all the licensing and all of the lines and things. I think you just saw, we just signed a contract with Connet Telephone Company.
Right.
Or
Great Wave.
Great Wave Communications, that they're going to provide the fiber optic network available to do this. So we've never had that before, that kind of speed and that kind of bandwidth that we needed to be able to do this. So and this, I'm really happy because this is all local companies that we're going to be able to do this thing with. But it's really going to help law enforcement, really going to help police and fire. They're going to be able to see this real time going on in their cars. They're going to be able to communicate right from their cars into this system. So we couldn't be happier.
Boy, it's come a long way since
Oh,
you
it's
were.
come, yes,
Sure.
it has come. We never would have believed that we would have had this communication capability.
Now, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm a little curious about this. So there won't be an actual body in this. It's all.
Yeah, no, there will be a body there. There will be people still answering these calls.
Oh, okay.
But when they're sent out, they'll be sent out probably by radio, then also by this electronic means.
Okay.
And there'll still be a dispatcher there to talk to.
Oh. Okay.
There'll still be somebody
That's
there.
what I
a
did not
person.
understand in
there
the
will
story.
but we are going to condense. Now the cities, they have a choice whether they want to get out of the dispatching business or stay in, and that'll be a local choice on theirs.
Mm-hmm.
But from a 911 standpoint, we are going to take all the calls there right in Jefferson.
Now, just one other thing on that. So if we call locally 911, will it still go to that?
Yes, it's going to
It'll
go to that.
both.
Well,
Connet and.
well, it depends. If Connet wants to stay in the dispatch business, there's a lot of difference
Then it
between
would
answering.
block.
Then we'll send that call back to that Connet dispatcher. But there are a number of agencies that are going to get out of the dispatch business, and then it will be dispatched right from that communication center.
Okay.
Like
for instance, North Kingsville has had some dispatching problems. I would think it would behoove them to get involved.
they're going to.
Are they?
They're going to, and then so their calls will now go to that once this center is completed. And we hope to have a lot of work done on this. They're doing the computer side of it right now, and then we hope this next year, the end of this year, the next year, we'll move forward with probably a new place to do this. We're going to create a new EOC. Emergency Operations Center for our emergency management agency in our 911 center, and we'll do that in it. We're going to try and put transportation communication and a lot of different communications that the county provides in this centralized spot. And we think it will be a lot more efficient than what it is today.
I got another question for you that's been thrown at me. We've had a instance where there was a threat at the high school, and then we've had some cases where they've had to use reverse 911 to alert parents and that sort of stuff about things that are happening at the school. If you have an unlisted phone number, do you still get a call from reverse? Do you remember?
I don't remember that. I do believe that you do, and I say that believing that that's why that database is not a public database, is because of that reason. When I was in 911, I believe that unlisted numbers were in that. So everybody's numbers were in that, and that's why it was a protected database. I haven't did that in so long, so I'm telling you that, believing that that's true.
Okay, okay. I had people emailing me and calling me and saying, because they didn't get phone calls, and I said, well, in this day and age, a lot of people have cell phones.
Yeah, a lot of people, you're right, they're getting away from wire lines.
Right.
And all they have for their main telephone source is a cell phone now. I've been out of it long enough that I really don't know that answer. All those databases are included. But I can tell you now, something that just amazes me. We were amazed back in the 1990s when I did this, when we got the name, address, and telephone number of an individual that called in. they can spot you within about 10 meters of where you're calling now, even on your cell phone. And they can actually see that. And they can create a map now. They have a picture of your house. So if it's the third house south of a particular intersection, they can actually tell that car or that truck going to that particular residence what side of the street it's on, what they should be looking for.
Right.
It's just amazing to me what they have.
When Dan was with the county in that capacity, I had to do an interview with them. It might have been over the phone, and reverse 911 was so new, it was like we were talking Star Wars. I mean, it was that new back in those days. It was like over my head. I could hardly fathom it, you know?
Oh yeah, no, it's just amazing to me. It amazes me every day. And when I see what they can do now with this computer-aided dispatch, I'm just amazed. I really am amazed. It's things that you would have never believed that you had in a wire basis, let alone going out into cars and fire trucks and things like that.
Imagine what's going to happen in 10 more years. They just keep getting bigger and bigger.
There are systems out there, and this is a system that is capable of that as the fire truck goes down the road, they can actually read a signal coming from a fire hydrant and tell you how much pressure that fire hydrant has in it, whether it's maintenance, it has all its maintenance records, everything up to date, that the firemen can actually
No kidding.
see. Absolutely. Now, this won't have it immediately, but I'm sure that the capability is there, and it's just time before something. It is. It's just absolutely amazing.
It looks to me like things are going pretty well with the county right now.
They are. I think there's a lot of positive things going on in the county, and you know, I mean, we just got to keep plugging away every day.
You got to stay up on top of it, I'm sure.
Every day, you know, really and truly, everybody's doing the same thing that we're doing. You know, everybody wants the next, whatever that next is, and you got to be ready for it. You got to take advantage of any opportunities that come up.
I heard a disturbing question or rumor the other day, and I can't remember who even mentioned it to me. It doesn't matter, but I think it was somebody that might have been in the know, saying that the recycling program in Ashtabula County might be over with because of the expense. Is that not true?
That's not true. No, we're going to have recycling. We're just not sure how it's going to look. As you know, the EPA helped, and they gave us a plan to do. The plan's just too expensive. And one of the things they wanted us to do was to put a parcel fee on every improved parcel in the county of about $6 a year to do this recycling. And it just, I can be real honest, but I'm not for this parcel fee. Okay. I mean, with the CAUV going up the way it did this year, and it just seems to me that property owners are the ones that whenever there's a problem, they're the ones that get saddled with paying for it. And so at least from my perspective, I want to set up a program. I want to follow what the EPA has, but I want to set up a program that we can afford. Okay. We can afford about $14,000 a month right now, and that's the type of program. Personally, I would like to see everybody get into curbside recycling. That really is the answer, curbside recycling. And we have some meetings coming up with communities trying to cluster them, because one of the difficult parts of this recycling is because Ashtabula County is so large and it's not densely populated, that it makes it hard for a provider to provide curbside recycling. But what we believe, and one of the suggestions is to get communities to cluster together. Right. And that we're going to suggest that to communities.
Dan, I read somewhere that that the recycling bins that they put out, they were going to have newer ones that had less room. That's not going to happen.
No, because again, at least from my experience in drop-off centers, they're nothing but a trash center. And there are a number of them. There was like 19 of them proposed in this plan, and I don't mind having some, but it's just going to get out of hand. We are working with Ashtabula City to create a transfer station. We're working with Ashtabula City to get them to go curbside recycling. I know the County Council has been talked to about curbside recycling. Right. Joining with maybe North Kingsville and some other dense areas. We're going to try and work that area to try and help these communities and move forward, because there's a certain population percentage that we have to reach with curbside recycling in this plan, so that the best way, at least from my mind, is to have curbside recycling in the densely populated areas. The city of Geneva has already went to it. The village of Jefferson has went to it, and I would encourage all the densely populated areas to consider that.
Okay, okay.
But it is not dead by any means. In fact, it has to move forward because the county is under what they call findings and orders from the EPA.
I remember when you
do
went
this.
to our council and spoke on that.
And we, you know, they can take us, they've been, I gotta say, they've been really good in working with us, but they can actually, at some point, if they see no progress, they can actually take us to court and force us to do this. And we don't wanna see that, and that's why we are working on doing it. It's just we're trying to find a plan that we can afford, because other than creating a fee at the county level, and one of the only options is to do this parcel fee, there's not another way of creating funds to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, you've certainly shed a lot of light on different subjects today, Dan. I appreciate it. Hopefully you can come back again next month
Oh, I enjoy coming back.
and keeping us updated on county government, because that's important. You got plans for Easter?
Spend it with my family.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do too.
Yeah.
And I want to wish you and your family a very happy Easter.
Same to you, Pat. Thank you.
Thank you very much.